Alrighty, welcome back ladies and gentlemen to another kook fishing video. This one will be a little bit different from the standard kook fishing video that most of you guys are used to, or all my subscribers at least. If you're from Perth, Western Australia, you already know that we have been plagued with absolute horrible conditions. This winter has been a brutal one. We've had some okay days. Since I work full time, it is really difficult to time days off with those beautiful winter days. I don't know why, but every single day off I get always seems to be blowing its ass off or something stupid like that. When the timing is finally good, I'll head down to the beach and I'll catch absolutely all. Long story short, it has been the sole reason for my absence on this platform recently. Regardless of all that, today's episode is going to be a review of a reel that I have had in my arsenal for nearly 4 years now. It is the Shimano Stella FK. About 3.5 years ago, I made an unboxing video of the Shimano Stella FK, not really knowing what I was going to step into other than the fact that I knew I spent 1,000 Australian dollars on a little 3,000 size spinning reel. Since that time has passed, I personally find myself more than qualified enough to talk about this reel and potentially help you make your mind up if you're maybe sitting on the fence about purchasing this reel. In this video, we'll talk about why I purchased this reel in the first place. So my personal reasoning for choosing this particular reel over others, for example, like the Shimano Vanquish, the Twin Power XD, the Twin Power FD at the time, Daiwa Certate, Daiwa Exist, the list goes on. After that, we can move on to what I've done with the reel. So for example, the type of fishing I use it for, and gloss over some captures that I've made with it. We can also talk about the particular technologies included in this reel to see how they've helped me with those captures, and then what they have done to look after me throughout the years of owning the reel. Then we can talk about how I've looked after the reel after owning it all this time, and basically go over what I've done to make this reel last as long as it has without needing a service. And to be honest, I think it might surprise you. To wrap up the video, we'll give a performance report. The performance report will include 3 categories, those being durability out of a 10, also aesthetics out of a 10, because that is also important when you're spending, over $1,000 on a reel. And finally, performance when fighting fish out of a 10. Alrighty, let's get right into the video. No, you're good. Another stick bait gone. So why did I purchase this reel? The fishing I was doing at the time of looking for this reel was quite demanding on light tackle, and I was doing a lot of it. I wanted to buy something that I knew wasn't just going to explode after hooking a big fish, or simply just fail from just using the reel. In some cases, cheaper reels can fail from just general use, like winding under tension, not even just fighting fish, but just winding the reel, just fishing with it. Winding in divers under tension, I don't know, you get hooked on seaweed, you wind that in. Over time, cheap reels can just fail or feel like crap. I didn't want to buy into anything like that. I had owned Stratex before, Vanfords, and there's nothing wrong with them, but one thing I always found, especially the older ones at the time, it wouldn't take very long for them to just feel like garbage. I also wanted to buy something that felt good, not only when bringing in fish, everything's under tension, you crank and it just all feels well put together, but using it. As a lure angler, we are using our reels a lot in between fish captures, and having something like the Stella or anything flagship, it just makes that entire experience a lot better. Now, at the time, I was also looking again at the Vanquish, I was looking at the Twin Power FD, the XD, which is the lighter version of the Twin Power FD, all the Certates and the Exists. I was looking at all of those. After doing a bit of research on all those reels, I did stumble across the FK. At the time, it was Shimano's latest release, and I was very intrigued by some of the technology that they had actually put inside of the reel. There was 2 technologies that stood out to me, those being the smoother and tougher drag washers. Since fishing with lighter gear, and I say lighter gear like that because it's not your 6 and your 8 pound, it is still 10 and 15. We weren't targeting small fish, and with lighter gear for larger fish, having a smooth drag is very, very important. With the new technology they've implemented into this reel, they have smoother and tougher. Now those two categories with drag washers don't really go together. It's either you have tough and not very smooth, or you have smooth and very weak. Now, when fighting big fish with felt drag washers, when you do need to lock up, and look, with 10 and 15 pound, you can put a bit of pressure on there, especially when you tie your knots very well, or good quality knots. Felt drag washers, look, they won't even really last a season, let alone multiple, without having to change them out. It's kind of the sacrifice you make for a smoother drag. You could always upgrade to carbon drag washers, but then you would be dealing with sticky drag, and which isn't very light gear friendly, but still, if you want the durability, it is a great upgrade nonetheless. So again, that brings us down to why I liked the FK, was because they were boasting similar startup inertia for felt drag washers, but 15 times the durability of felt drag washers. So it's not quite carbon drag washer durability, but it's a lot more than felt. And that is something that really caught my eye. The second piece of tech was the slow oscillation. So where that might help is with the slow oscillation, as you wind, the reel kind of slowly goes up and down. And what that is going to do is it's going to track the line on closer together. Having the line laid together much closer and neater not only helps with casting, because as your line comes off of your spool, there is less friction involved with the line coming off, but also when your drag is peeling with a big fish, there is also again less friction. So ultimately it helps increase drag smoothness. Technically, the slow oscillation and the new drag washers go hand in hand with making the drag a lot smoother. Casting performance was a big thing as well with the slow oscillation, but again, I was very intrigued with the drag. And also other few bits and pieces of technology. They had an anti-twist fin. It helps reduce twist in your line, but also helps stop the braid from falling down, getting tangled or something like that. I didn't really care too much for that. I thought that was mainly a gimmick. And another really cool thing about the slow oscillation, it's really cool to watch the reel go up and down very slowly. It's just something different. It's something I find really cool. You know, uniqueness was something I also look forward to with fishing reels. Hence why I give them all these little upgrade parts, because it's my Stella, not just a Stella. Oh, shit. That's a big fish, man. It won't stop. It won't stop. Oh, I'm shaking. Moving on to what types of fishing I use this reel for. Everything. Well, I kind of discovered it's for everything. I had actually purchased it to get more invested in light shore jigging or micro jigging, whatever you want to call it, with jigs around the realms of like say 8 to 20 grams for anything that swims, because that's the versatility of shore jigging. As much as this reel was versatile for just about everything, look, you're not going to be catching big blue water species like giant trevally or I don't know, mackerel and tuna. It is definitely very capable, and if you can get lucky enough, you can catch some stupid fish on this reel, or realistically any reel around this size. This reel, it's a very capable reel. That being said, it is a 3000 size reel after all. The reason why I liked it and why I went for it was not too big for the 1 to 3 kilo size fish, you know, really large brim or salmon, tailor, but it also packed a punch and could absolutely have a fair fight at, you know, fish ranging from the 4 to the 12 kilo mark, depending on the species, of course, which is what I had in mind using it for. I wanted to, you know, attempt to fish more often with jigs. It did not take very long for me to end up only really using this as a topwater tailor setup where I live, or just a topwater setup in general. Tailor also, for the Americans out there, that is bluefish, and for the South Africans, it is shad. It quickly became my topwater setup that I realistically only used topwater lures like metal slicers, small-ish stick baits from 80 mil to 130 mil, divers around the same sort of size, so that style of fishing. Once the bigger tailor, where I live, they leave around late spring coming into summertime, I started to use this reel for land-based snapper on lures, mainly targeting sizes 40 centimeters to 60 max, but we very quickly came across some spots that held some larger fish. I got so damn fixated on just fishing soft plastics for snapper for a very long time. I'd say a solid 2 years of owning this reel was just snapper soft plastics, and we hooked and landed some big ones between myself and my friends. Another one of my captures is my previous personal best tailor of 59 centimeters. I've since broken that record on a different setup. Now I think my personal best tailor is 64 centimeters, which isn't a massive fish by any stretch of the imagination as far as it goes for size of tailor. It's still a personal best for myself. Another capture is 2 years ago. We were up in Exmouth fishing. It was the first time I ever went to this particular spot. First cast, I ended up hooking up to a really nice size GT, respectable size for the line class that I was fishing with at least. It was about a 50, 60 centimeter size GT. And as you can see, like, it doesn't matter what size these fish are, they can just go. They just peel so much drags, they fight so hard. And finally, most recently actually, in a video I was filming on this channel, a funny little challenge idea I had, if you want to go and watch that video, it'll be up in the cards or down in the description, was me catching a shark mackerel on a soft plastic. And as we can tell in the video of the shark mackerel, they peel on a line as well. I have countless stories of hookups of many fish that I wasn't able to land due to, I guess, just being completely undergunned. There is a bit of luck involved, obviously. What can you do about it? But it just goes to show with the fair amount of use and abuse, depending what you want to call it, this reel has honestly never let me down. In some cases, I do believe that the technology equipped with this reel has helped aid me with landing some of these larger fish. For example, that smooth drag, fishing with light gauge hooks, light leader, light line, whatever you want. Having a smooth drag is very important to ensuring that you stay connected to the fish, whether it is pulling hooks because your drag's too sticky. In some cases as well, if your line or hooks are very small. I know with some of these smaller shore jigs, those hooks are tiny. Sticky drag or just not a smooth drag in general can cause hook failures. The drag washers, again, being the standout for me, they've just been so damn durable, so smooth, and the crazy part is I still haven't needed to replace them yet. Not afraid to lock up this drag when I need to. I know even with 10 and 15 pound braid, you tie a solid FG knot, you can get some crazy drag settings on these reels as long as it's smooth. And having strong drag washers that won't get destroyed was it was a godsend for me. Another way this reel has looked after me, or the technologies that have been implemented into this reel have looked after me, is the saltwater proofing. Now the reason why I say proofing is because no standard spinning reel is 100% waterproof. Even if you do spend Stella money, Exist money, it's not waterproof. You do have to take good care, and I personally do take decent care of my spinning reels, but I would say I do the bare minimum. I've had my fair share of wave splashes. I've had my fair share of leaving it in the gunnel and the water has sprayed on this thing. And look, I've even dropped this thing completely underwater, fully submerged. Bear in mind, it was only about 5-10 seconds. This reel still feels like I've unboxed it yesterday. That's the crazy part. Now that's not to say nothing in this reel needs to be replaced. I plan on fishing this thing until it literally cannot be fished anymore. But since Shimano is probably going to be coming out with a new model next year or the year after, I feel like this is an appropriate time to make a video because these are still technically the newest reel at the time and a great one. These will go down personally as one of the greats. For example, the Stella FE, I think it was, is considered a very good Stella generation and people are still fishing them to this day and they're very sought after. I think this one, I know in my books, this one's going down as one of the better reels that I've personally ever owned. What confuses me, or what I love the most about this reel, again, is I've had this for nearly 4 years and it just feels new. Like, I pick this thing up and I wind it and I don't feel anything strange. For 4 years of use, you'd look at this thing and you'd feel it in your own hands. You wouldn't think I've owned it for 4 years, or nearly 4 years. After 4 years of use, and I guess you can say abuse, that this reel has done nothing but looked after me and has been amazing. So good, in fact, that I've purchased 2 more. I've got a C2000 that you see in all my other videos, which I highly recommend going back and watching, and a 5000 as well. And again, both of those reels have been nothing short of amazing for me. That's a big fish. Oh my God. Crazy head shakes on it. Oh my goodness. No. Oh, I can feel him in reef. Okay, we've glossed over how the reel looks after me. I think it's time we talk about how I look after the reel. When I have short fishing sessions ranging from say 30 minutes to an hour, all I'll do is actually just run the roller bearing under a tap and just kind of get my finger in there and move it back and forth if I can be bothered. Otherwise, I rarely go fishing for only 30 minutes to an hour anyway. Anything over 2 though, I will tighten up the drag knob so that the rubber seals on the drag knob seal off the drag washers from any water intrusion, because you do not want any water in your drag washers at all, whether it is fresh or salt. I know fresh water is better than salt, but in this case you don't want any water in your drag washers. So tighten your drag, seal off the drag, and I would run the reel under a tap on low pressure, focusing on the exposed areas like the body, the braid. I actually kind of get my finger and rub the braid with water, the roller bearing like I said before, the handle knob bearings if you have gotten them exposed to salt water. Otherwise, if they've been dry the entire session, it's safe to assume that you don't really need to wash them. Maybe just get, I don't know, like a wipe or something and just wipe whatever residue you've got on your handle, if it's bait or whatever, fish juice, I don't know, scales. Never turn your reel upside down and let water enter under the rotor. I'm not too sure why. I'm not a reel serviceman. I was just told that and I've followed it ever since, and I've never had anything go wrong. So feel free to prove me wrong. Otherwise, I don't know, it makes sense why you wouldn't want water under there. And your fishing gear is nice and clean. There's no excuse, I think, for, you know, looking after your gear like this. It's what I've done for years. The reason why I, even after a 30-minute fishing session, will sometimes, if I can be bothered again, wash my roller bearing is because no matter what you do, even if your reel stays completely away from salt water will hug onto your braid, and as your braid tracks onto your reel, it will deposit all the salt water into your roller bearing. The cool thing about higher-end Shimano reels is they do include a sealed roller bearing, but look, it only works so much. Over a long time, salt water will get in there. So in this case, fresh water is better than salt. I think if you had to wash one thing and you couldn't be bothered washing it at all, just run the tap, put the roller bearing under there, and call it a day. Some other things I will also do to kind of further increase the lifespan of my reels, and look, I don't even know if this does anything. I've just been doing it for a long time and it seems to work for me personally. I will purchase some light viscosity oil. There's a bug. I have purchased a little tube of light viscosity oil, and I will put it inside the bearings after maybe every 5 or 10 sessions. So the bearings you can get to, importantly the roller bearing, I'll put it in there, about 1 drop in the handle knob bearings. Otherwise, this is what's going to happen. Now look, to be honest, that happens regardless. There's not really much you can do about that. But I will put light viscosity oil in there. I will also put it in the bail arm, just 1 drop in each side, and kind of move it back and forth. And that's basically it. That's how I look after my reels, and it has looked after me for a very, very long time. Oh, I don't want this to go on the reef. Oh no. There's so much reef around. You know when you hook a fish and you just know you're screwed. Now, as for the performance report, I think for durability, in my personal opinion, from what I've experienced, even not only just this reel, but the 2 other ones I own, I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10 for durability. Again, the drag washers not needing to be replaced after so long. The fact that the reel still feels like I've unboxed it yesterday, I suffer to want to rate it any less than a 10. Like, it's just been an amazing reel. As for aesthetics, now, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. And this is coming from a bit of a Shimano fanboy, but as much as I personally prefer reels that are plain because it does allow me to customize the reel however I like, I do miss the old Daiwa days, for example, the 2015 kind of spot, you know, the Saltiga, the grey with the blue. Oh, what else? The TD Soul, that awesome orange that they did. They still do it, obviously. The Gecko with the red, it looked like an Iron Man reel. It was just interesting. I understand the Stella is kind of meant to be like plain. It's always been like that, but I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10 because it's left up to me to upgrade it. Now, I will do that regardless. Even if the reel does have interesting, cool colors, I'm going to upgrade it and change it to my reel. But 8 out of 10. As for performance when fighting fish, it's hard to give it less than a 10. I'm gonna give it a 9 because no reel is perfect. It's hard to find a perfect reel in that category. You can probably be mad at me for giving it a 9 out of a 10. There's too many variables to take into account. Damn bug. There's too many variables to take into account when judging the performance of a reel. Now, obviously, I made up the list. I could have done something else, but for performance when fighting fish, I do give it a solid 9 out of 10 because of that slow oscillation with the line coming off smooth, which helps the drag. Also, the drag washers. If I had to nitpick, it feels heavy when winding it. Now, this is a part of Shimano's Core Solid series, so this isn't really lightweight focused. It is designed to be as rigid and compact as possible. If I had to compare it to a Dyro Exist, who do in fact offer a rigid rotor and a lightweight rotor as well for their flagship series, I'll give them a 9 out of a 10. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoy. If I've got any new viewers that are watching this video, I recommend that you have a look at some of my other videos. I know you're probably watching this one as a tackle review type video and my other ones are fishing related. Obviously you're watching this because you like fishing. Please check out some of my other videos. And if you regular viewers like these kinds of videos where I sit down and talk to you about tackle and my experience, recommendations, what to use when, anything like that, feel free to let me know. They're not a bad video to do on a rainy day, basically. I guess this just means more content for you guys, even when I'm not able to get out there and fish. But yeah, I don't mind sitting down here and having a yarn and just talking about fishing. I'm basically just making this video because fishing is my passion and I love talking about it. Anyways, guys, have a good one and cheers for watching.
Oh, that's straight bean. Oh. Fuck. Jesus. That is so strong.
What's for dinner?
Egg and bean. I'm not dead.